So again, good evening and hi. And yes, I just have recorded this one and let me share my screen. Okay. Oh. Somewhere. Ha? Dili mo. Ugma batang klase. Ay, okay. Akala ko. So, as I have said, wait lang ha, asa mo ng saba? Ay, si Roy. Roy, saba kay ka. Thank you. Anyway, if you have questions or clarifications, turn on your microphone, no? So, yun, no? Again, I'm gonna repeat. Ang inyong prelim exam will just be the same with your prelim module, katong activities ninyo. Questions, don't mind na if you have finished it, sumara po ito yung exam, no? Which will be due on September 30. But our examination is actually this week. No? So we will not make face-to-face, but continue lang mo sa pag-answer sa inyong prelim module because that is your prelim exam na. So if you have questions or clarification, so I guess we start, last time we discussed about the buds. So let me continue na if you don't have questions or clarification regarding our topics. So we talk about the buds and the leaves. So of course, these are some parts of the some parts of the plants, no, the plant morphology. So last time also we had a video presentation of the different parts. And hindi yun natapos. And I guess I'm not sure kung na ano ba na ako. Wait lang, let me check. Wala pa ko ng ano. Wala na ako na post, no? Hindi kailangan ba? Close everything. Okay. So, sige, sorry. Ano pa ko? Klase. Okay, so I guess I posted the video presentation, the video recordings last time, pero hindi yung video na link, no? Well, anyway, isa-isahin na lang natin because that video is too long. So, isa-isahin na lang natin kung anong whatever ang topic we have. So, we discussed also about leaves, no? And the different types of leaves, venation, and etc. The different parts of the leaves, external part, and the internal part of the leaves. The venation, as I have said, the leaf margin, anong type, so ayun. And the shape and arrangement. So there are a lot of terminologies, no, that have specific shapes. And this will be your activity. So I guess again I'm gonna repeat kung ano yung mga module questions ninyo, activity questions that will form as your prelim. Pero this is midterm na, under midterm. So hindi na ito part ng prelim. Yung prelim yung nasa yung the other, no? So this is midterm lesson 1 and 2. I guess dito na tayo to continue with plant anatomy on flowers, fruits, and seeds. Now we're going to discuss the different the importance of the flowers and fruits, and this is where the ultimate economic part where we usually consume. Okay, Let me just have a screenshot. Line 22. Okay, so let's start with flowers. Um, so we all know that flower is a very important organ in order for plant to produce fruit, and not only that, for aesthetic sense, no, para maganda siyang tignan, and we utilize that in ornamentals and landscaping. And in this case, we're going to study flower as a functional part in botanical function of plant, wherein the purpose of flower is to reproduce sexually. And it has a lot of mga intricate parts, usually divided as female and male part. When we say male part, these are called stamen, and it has stalk-like filament that holds the anther, and it contains the pollen, no, released by flowers, which contain the sperm, no, na the male cells. And flowers also have male parts. Some flowers na walang male and no female, na merong male but no female part are called staminate. Kaya lalaki sila, staminate. And the female part naman ng flower is called the pistil. And it's composed of the carpel, which is the basic unit of female reproductive organ. And it consists of carpels, which compose stigma, style, and ovary. It's the stigma is the sticky tissue that at the end of the pistil that is very receptive to pollen, and it's the it will facilitate the pollination process, no? So it's located just below the stigma, which is rod shape in the middle part, and it's called the style, no? And a swollen base called the ovary, as you can see here, that it contains the eggs. Ito naman yung female reproductive organ ng plants, no? And when the pollen reaches the stigma, it will form a pollen tube down through the style to the ovary where the sperm is deposited. So again, if the flowers have female parts and no male parts, it's called pistillate. So again, kanina, pag lalaki ang flower, anong tawag? Anyone? Anong tawag nun? Anyone would like to answer? It's staminate. No? Therefore, pag babaeng flower siya, what does it called? Huh? It's called pistillate. No? So, ito yung pistil, which contain the style, the sigma style in the ovary. That's the male, the female flower. Ang male flower naman is called the stamen, which contain the filament and the anther where the pollen is contained. So, ang other parts naman ng flower, we have the sepal, the petal, the color bracts, and the pedicel, or yung kanyang parang receptacle, and the bracts. So, yun yung ating flower. And it has also, meron tayong other parts, no? Petals, yun. And ano bang function ng ating petals? Usually colorful leaf-like structure siya para maka-attract ng animals and insects. While the petals naman are fused together to form a corolla, no? And beneath it are the green leaf-like structure called the sepals, and its function is to support the petals, and they are also sometimes called as the perianth. So between petals and sepals, in some plants, meron parang distinct part, no? Kaya tinatawag silang tepals. No? And for tulip flowers, like and some monocots, they have tepals. So some plants also have modified leaves at the base of the flower or tinatawag siyang bracts or floral inflorescence. And it may be green, some in poinsettia, these are colorful. And the stem, the flower stem is called the pedicel. It will hold the flower and the receptacle. So flowers can also be in a lot of forms, shapes, sizes, and colors. And which have and they can be perfect or imperfect. No, pag perfect siya, meron siyang male and female parts. Pag missing ang male or kaya male, female, imperfect siya. And they may also be complete or incomplete. Ibig sabihin, kumpleto siya pag complete yung parts ng flowers, no? And incomplete naman siya pag kulang. So imperfect flowers are always incomplete, therefore, but incomplete flowers may not be imperfect, no? May or may not be pala imperfect. So ito yung mga flower structure variation. We have the imperfect or the carpellate pistillate, the perfect or the bisexual, hermaphroditic, kasi meron siyang both male and female, the staminate or the imperfect siya. And this is an example of the monoecious complete flower. So male flower lang siya. And dioecious incomplete flower or geneaceous flower. Ibig sabihin, may lalaki, may babae in different plants. And ang monoecious is the same plant, meron siyang lalaki at babaeng flower. So again, yun yung monoecious and dioecious. So monoecious can be, example are the corn, the cucumber, and oats. While dioecious, like the soybean, asparagus, kiwi, hemp, and so on. So flowers can also be born in different ways. Meron tayong tinatawag na solitary flowers, such as tulip, narcissus, and rose, or flower clusters, such as inflorescence. And the main inflorescence is called the peduncle, and the pedicel that branch from the peduncle to support the individual flowers. So, meron din tayong different types of flowers. No? We have the first flower to open at the apex of the stem and the progression of the flowering downward outward. The inflorescence is called determinate. Pag examples of determinate, we have liatres, kalanchoe, and African violet. And if the last flower is open terminal on the main axis and the progression of flowering is inward or upward, no, and it's the opposite, is therefore is called indeterminate. So pag determinate na siya, the progression of the flower is downward or outward, no? Pero pag inflorescence is indeterminate, so inward or upward. And there are also types of indeterminate types of inflorescence. We have the racemes, the corymbs, heads, and umbels. And we have freesia, cinerea, snapdragon, and stock as the indeterminate inflorescence. So ito yung mga example ng types of inflorescence. We have the spike, the raceme, the corymb, round umbel, flat umbel, simple umbels, capitulum or head, conical, compound corymb, compound umbel, and thyris, no? So ano ito mga kinds, no? Maraming forms yan, several, but usually flat top inflorescence. Yun. And spike is elongated inflorescence with central axis where the sessile flowers are attached. While raceme naman is an elongated inflorescence na merong central axis where simple pedicels more or less are equal of length are attached. And we have another one, panicle, is in elongated inflorescence on my central axis, where there are branches that are themselves branched, like the rice, oats, and so on. And we have corymb. It means they are short, broad, flat top, indeterminate inflorescence with a main vertical axis and pedicels or branches an equal length naman siya. So yung outer flowers niya will open first. So example is the yarrow. And we call them umbel if it has several branches arising from a common point, like or containing single pedicel, no? Like the Queen Anne's lace or amaryllis. We also have the spadix, no? It's a spike with a thickened fleshy axis, usually enveloped by showy black gold, the spathe. So, like the Callia lily and the Anthurium, meron silang spadix. We also have catkin, or spike, raceme, or cyme, composed of unisexual flowers without petals and falling as a unit. So, example, the willows, alders, and oaks and birch. And lastly, we have the head, or yung rounded flat top cluster or of sessile flowers. Head inflorescence, for example, of the aster family. No, and we also have gerbera, daisy, chrysanthemum, sunflower, marigold, dahlia, starflowers, and cinerea. Yeah, why? And so those are the different parts of flowers. We have also fruits. So before we proceed with fruits, do you have any questions or clarifications? Any questions or clarification regarding flowers? So lahat ba ng flowers ay nagiging fruits? Yes or no?
No,
Anyone?
ma'am.
No, of course. Bakit? Ano nangyayari? What happened? Of course, hindi siya na-fertilize. No. And for those who na-fertilize, nagpo-pollinate at nagiging fruits at nagiging seeds inside the fruit. So what are these fruits, no, botanically or technically? So some foods like vegetable, tomato, pea pod are actually fruits, no? Like we call them fruit vegetable. Yung pepper, squash, eggplant, cucumber, and sweet corn are also technically fruits, but we call them and after fertilization, yung ovary will ripen and eventually it will develop and the flower parts wither and die. And the wall of the ovary becomes the pericarp and the flower, the outer layer ng fruit, yung ovary ay nagiging pericarp. Take note. And yung mga fertilized ovules will form into seeds. And fruits can be fleshy or dry. No? So meron tayong different types of fruit. The fruit represent the ripened ovary that contains one or more seeds and that have floral parts adherent to it. So that is how we define fruit. Now, when will be asked what is fruit? So technically, it is the ripened ovary na merong seeds and floral parts. So the pericarp or wall of the fruit or the ripened wall of the ovary may either be fleshy or dry, and the dry fruits may be dehiscent or they can split open at maturity and indehiscent or they still are closed at maturity. So what are fleshy fruits? These are indehiscent and may be formed from a single ovary or multiple and one or more flowers. So it can be dry or fleshy fruits with a number of carpels, simple or compound, and may be useful in identifying the fruit. So ito yung mga in picture. These are the types of the dry dehiscent fruits. We have the follicle, delphinium. We have the legume pea, the silk cabbage, the Silicula shepherd's spores, the Lumentum sophora, and porous capsule poppy, the circumscissile capsule anagalis, and the luculicidal capsule iris, the valvate capsule campion, and the septicidal capsule foxglove. Yes, Mark. Yes, Mark? Are you are raising your hand? Mark? Yes, you can speak now or namali lang ka. Hey, piba de. Na-chat. Napindot tara, okay. Okay, so going back, we have the dry indehiscent fruits naman. We have the achin, the dandelion cypsela, the nut, hazelnut, the samara, the otricle chenopodium, the caryopsis wheat. So sorry if I have to mute your background if it's noisy, no? So what are these indehiscent dry fruits? These are one-seeded types like the achin, caryopsis, capsilla, nuts, nutlet, samara, and utricle as shown here. And the achin is usually from a single carpel, but can also be formed from compound ovary with only one carpel functional. So the pericarp of the achin can be separated from the seed coat, and there are a lot of modification like the dry indehiscent, one-seeded, fruits. And we also have caryopsis or of achin, which has the pericarp completely fused in the seed coat naman, and it's derived from 2 to 3 carpellate and superior ovary found in the grass family or the Poaceae. So, a cypsela naman is an achin, another similar sa carpiopsis, but it's derived from 2 carpellate inferior ovary and often equipped with the pappus. And usually found in the composites or the family Asteraceae. While when we say nut, it's a hard and bony and larger, similar to achin. And nutlet is a small nut, and a samara has wing, enabling it to be dispersed by wind, while otricle is similar to achin, except that the pericarp is inflated and appears like a bladder. So those are the indehiscent dry fruits. We also have the dehiscent dry fruits. We have the capsule, follicle, legume, lumen, schizocarp, silicle, and silic. So pag sinabi natin capsule, it's from a compound pistil and splits open at maturity along one or more lines of the dehiscence. While when we say follicle, it's derived from a single carpel with one or more seeds and splits open at maturity naman, along the dorsal front line of the fusion. So the Fabaceae are called legumes or lumens and derived from single carpels lang. And it will dehisce both sides of maturity, while yung lumen breaks apart in one-seeded segments. Another one is schizophore. Carp splits apart at maturity into one-seeded parts or mericarps that represent its separate carpels. We have silicles and silics, specialized capsule found in the Brassicaceae, and these have membranous partition that separates two locules and each form when two carpellate gynoecium naman. And lastly, we have the silicle, less than 2 times longer than wide and usually more than 2 times longer than wide. No? So those are the specific description. Now, so from dry fruits, we also have fleshy fruits. Ito na yung formed from simple or compound ovary and include the berry, drupe, pome, sometimes follicle, or capsule. So ano ang berry? Is a strawberry a berry? Is it? Anyone?
Dili berry ang strawberry, ma'am.
Very good, BJ. So, berry may have few or many seeds embedded in a pulpy matrix with a thin outer wall. So this is the berry, no? Fleshy siya with a very thin pulpy matrix wall. And when we say drupe, it's derived from simple or compound ovary and has one or more seeds enclosed in a stony endocarp, no, and in the inner wall of the pericarp or ovary. So example of a drupe is the mango. This is the epicarp, the endocarp, and the mesocarp. Next, we have a pome from a compound crystal in an inferior ovary. Usually the fleshy part of the pome is derived from the pericarp and the hypanthenium, no? So this is the example of a pome is the apple, no? And follicles, we have derived from single carpels and capsules, from compound genuacia, and these are typically dry fruits but may be fleshy. No? We have also other balustra, pomegranate, and Hesperidium naman ang mga orange. In this pepo ang mga cucumber. Okay. So usually these are all derived from several ovaries and include aggregate and multiple fruits. So strawberry therefore is what type of fruit? Therefore, strawberry is an aggregate fruit kasi marami siyang fruit achins. While we also have multiple fruit, like for example, the pineapple, marami siyang flowers in one multiple fruit, no? And the aggregate fruit, the unicarpellate versus the single flower are coherent at fruit maturity, such as the blackberries and the raspberries. They are formed by coalesce of several flowers in a berry or pineapple, as I have mentioned. And fruits will also serve as dispersal unit as they may dehisce or allowing seeds to be dispersed. So they bear the seeds inside of it, and once they are matured na, they're going to be dispersed or para pag halimbawa kinain sila ng bird and then the bird will flew away. So it will carry na the seeds, no? For dispersal, either be transported by wind, water, or animal. So fruit types generally are consistent in a genus or within a family, and it's very important useful characters in identification the plant, no? So the key for flowering plants is important to become familiar with the nature kung paano ba ang growth ng tanim, no? Or a flower. Like for example, to identify, ano ba itong tanim na ito? 'di ba? Mas madaling malaman kung what type of tree or plant is it pag nakita na natin yung flower. So do you have any question before we proceed into the seeds? Ano ba ang seeds? So as I have mentioned kanina, seeds is a ripened ovule. No? Okay. So the seeds again is a ripened ovule which when shed from the parent plant will consist of the embryo and stored food supply, both which are enclosed in the seed coat or covering. That's why some of the seeds we can still eat them kasi meron silang food supply for its growth, no? Doon naman tutubo yung new plant, no, in our seed. So ano ba yung mga parts of the seed? We have the embryo. Ano ito embryo? Developing plant still in the seed. The embryo has cotyledons. And like the embryonic layers and a root cap and a food source or the plumule yung shoot. So we also have hilum. Ano ito? Ito yung scar sa seed coat. So you remember when you see the seed, meron siyang scar. So ito yung were attached to the plant stalk during development. Kaya micropyle naman is a small pore in the seed that allows water absorption. Root or the hypocotyl is the part of the stem of a sprouting plant that is above the root and below the stalk of the cotyledon or seed sleeves. So we also have testa, or called the seed coat, and it's the outer protective layer covering the seed. And the seed leaf, or the cotyledon, the embryonic leaf within the seed. And plumule, the shoot of an embryo. No? So pag shoot is the plumule and the root is the hypocotyl. So ito na ang illustration of the parts of the seed of the monocot and the dicot. No? So we have again the endosperm, the epicotyl, hypocotyl, what else? The hilum, micropyle, yeah. So we also have different types of seeds, no? Pwede siyang orthodox, recalcitrant, and intermediate. So ano ang kaibahan ng tatlo? When we say orthodox, it will dry naturally on the mother plant up to at a low moisture content hanggang less than 20%, and it can be still dry low to 5% without damage. So can be stored in low temperature. Kaya usually they are available for sale, like rice, corn, beans, vegetable seeds, lahat ng vegetable seeds, no, peel and others. But what is the opposite, the recalcitrant? They will not dry out normally in the mother plant kasi mataas ang moisture content nila, up to 70%. And it's usually larger, and it has embryo of 15% lang mostly of all crops. And if na-reduce, it will die eventually pag reduce ang moisture content to 12 to 30%, and very susceptible to freezing. So example are the aquatic species, the large-seeded species, the wild rice, prickle fruit cress, lahat, jackfruit, cacao, rambutan, lanzones, and others. So in between them are the intermediate. It means that they can withstand desiccation to about 10 to 12% moisture content and can be stored under hermetic condition, no? Or will also sometimes lose viability more rapidly at lower temperature, 10 degrees Celsius, or warm temperature up to 21 degrees Celsius. Example of mga intermediates, we have the coffee, oil palm, papaya, citrus, star apple, and chico. So how the seeds travel or disperse? We have by wind, like such as the milkweed and dandelion and the maple. By animals such as beggar ticks, no, sunbur and blackberry. By water, like lotus and cattail. By bursting, like the violet, jewelweed, witch hazel. And by humans, no, kasi we eat beans, wheat, and cherry. So ayun, finally it's done. So do you have any questions or clarification? Any questions or clarification regarding the fruits and the flowers? Screenshot. So if none, then we're going to proceed with your activity. No, you classify, collect sample piece of the fruit, vegetable, ornamental based on the previous discussion. For example of a fruit is a coconut, also scientifically known as the Cucus nigrifera. And list down their characteristic, like what type of stem, root system, venation, and so on. A lot, no? So for analysis, you just answer the question. So any questions or clarification before we end? So next meeting, we're going to talk about next week, photosynthesis, lesson 3, and cellular respiration. So any questions or clarification? When po ang deadline nito? As I have said, you can still submit up to the end of December. But every lesson has 1 week to 2 weeks deadline, no, for the normal niya na deadline. Okay, let me just stop sharing. So, meron ba tayong questions or clarification regarding sa activities natin? Wala na? Anyone? Question or clarification? So we're less than a minute. Kung wala natin question or clarification, then that would be all for this evening. And thank you very much for joining with me. And I will see you naman next week again. So wala na yung mga tanad dara. So most probably we're going to have video presentation. I'll just find some link muna before we proceed with another video presentation. So again, thank you and bye-bye everyone.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Salamat, ma'am.
Bye-bye. Thank you.